right, I guess a little bit after, so I'll go ahead and get started. My name's Chris Sloan. I work for Level 10 Interactive, and essentially what I do for Level 10 is basically some first contact consulting and sales. So I'm not a programmer by trade. My degree was actually in graphic design, so I've got a little bit of that knowledge. But the majority of what I do is really just talking to people, getting an understanding for what their specific needs are from a web development project. If we're going to be the right fit for them, obviously, when it gets into Drupal specifically, can they do what they're trying to do with Drupal, and then talking about and knowing what modules are available for them to use. As a result of that, I spend a lot of time looking at modules, testing modules, kind of just playing with them and understanding them very, very well, doing a lot of research. So during that time, I've done a lot of digging and found some of the more obscure ones. Now I'm sure I'll go through and you'll see some of the more common ones. I'll have a few of them in here, but some of these are a little bit more unique, aren't as common, and I'll kind of outline that here. If you're wondering about the mustache, it's Movember. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the movement. It's basically for prostate cancer awareness, so we're raising funds, and some of the guys from the office, they've all got some. If you'll see the guys with the mustaches, usually they're with Level 10. I'll go ahead and get started. But if you've been around the Drupal community any length of time, you've probably heard the expression that Drupal is kind of like a set of Legos. You've got all these different components, all these pieces. You can take them together, and then you can build some really cool stuff with them. That in and of itself, and when I think of Legos, I think, oh, okay, I've got this kit, I go put it together, and it looks awesome, and then one of my kids tears it apart, and you get something like this. So you have this just enormous amount of pieces and options, and again, that's what I start to think of sometimes when there's all these different modules, and I'm just like, okay, I've got to go look and dig and try and find them. And even when they start to get organized like these are, it can still be a little bit difficult. I mean, if you're trying to find that one particular piece. D.O does a really good job of categorizing things. They've got tags and different pieces there to help you out. There's a site called DrupalModules.com that does some reviews. So sometimes they're a little bit biased because you're not getting enough information there. But between the two, you can usually kind of find something that's going to get you close. Currently in Drupal, in just version 6 alone, there's over 4,500 modules. That's a lot. Actually, that's really awesome because that's a lot more functionality that you can start to add to your site. You can give your clients, you can basically build a better platform for them just using the tools that are out there. Again, like I mentioned, a non-developer, depend very heavily on tools like that and the things that the development community has built to build that type of functionality in. The problem is that also sucks because, like I mentioned, you've got that mess of, okay, where do I find the right things? And so sometimes you get that needle in a haystack of actually finding the right one. So today, what we're going to talk about is really 3 different groups of Drupal modules. We're going to talk about Drupal modules for beginners. So if you're new to Drupal, here's a couple that you can plug in that most site builders are familiar with already. They're giving you some functionality. We'll look at a couple of usability modules, and then just some other modules that you're probably not as familiar with, hopefully, but you'll definitely get some use from. So I'll go ahead and get started here. The beginner modules, administration menu. Anybody here pretty familiar with that? That's pretty standard. If you actually install Acquia's distribution of Drupal, it actually comes with the administration menu in there. All right.